Hi, I'm Kristin Duncan with Keller Williams Advantage Realty here in Greater Orlando, Florida, and I want to start a video series about selling your home. I've been doing this almost 10 years and I've noticed I get a lot of the same questions over and over again, so I thought it might be helpful to kind of put them into video format, and hopefully I can help you as you start the process. Today I want to talk about, in our first installment, talk about preparing your home to sell. There are lots of things you can do in advance of selling that are going to make your life a whole lot easier in the long run. I always say that real estate agents need to sell their home every 3 to 5 years or so, just to remember how much work it is and how much our clients are going through when they're selling their house. My husband and I sold ours just a few months ago, and we started prepping months in advance, and I'm so glad we did. And it was a really good reminder of what we ask you to do all the time. So let's start with one of my most common questions. Can you put boxes of items in the garage? A lot of people start decluttering first, maybe going through the Christmas decorations in the attic or cleaning out that guest bedroom closet. And one of my biggest questions is, where do we put this stuff? The garage is fine, in my opinion. Now, we do have to access your HVAC unit, your electrical panel, any doors, including the big garage door, irrigation systems. Any mechanics that you have in the garage, we will have to access during the home inspection. And also, if you have attic access in your garage, please leave that clear. But I think most buyers, no matter the price of the home, expect there to be some boxes in the garage. So if you keep it neat and tidy, I have absolutely no problem with that. If you don't have room in the garage or don't have a garage, if you can designate one room of the house or one area, that would be the best case scenario, maybe like a small guest room or den. And if we can pull the boxes aside for photos, that's even better. But hey, I understand that stuff has to go somewhere. There is always the storage unit option as well if you do have, quite a few things. So let's get into prepping the exterior of your home. What they say is true. I'm sure you've all heard that curb appeal is wildly important, and I completely agree. That first impression that your house makes from the road, no matter how nice it is inside, is going to attract or detract some buyers. So many people drive by the home before they actually request a showing that you want to present it in the best way possible. Paint is one of my most frequently asked questions. Should we paint the outside of the home? If your house needs it and you have the means to paint it, the answer is yes. If you don't have the means to paint the house, my advice would be to paint the front door and make sure it looks bright, welcoming. Maybe add a welcoming wreath, some chairs out front, some plants, something to detract attention away from the rest of the house if you do need that paint. Painting inside, we already talked about painting outside, but painting inside is going to be another big piece of prepping your home. If you have a bold, brightly colored wall, you might want to rethink about toning that down a little bit. One statement wall, for example, in the master bedroom or in a living room, not so much of a problem as long as it's a bold neutral, like a navy is really popular right now. I love that, a deep, dark green jewel tone. Don't mind that one bit. But if you have, hot pink in your living room, no offense, everybody likes something different. It's just for photos that we need to tone that down a bit. It's so distracting when people see pictures. We have home theaters, and I've seen living rooms set up as home theaters where the walls are kind of wildly colored. Really cool. It's just gonna be difficult for that buyer to see themselves in that space. So my recommendation would be most paint in the house, tone it down. Children's bedrooms are going to be the exception. We see lots of cute bedrooms with murals on the wall or, pink or blue or purple green. It's kind of fun, I understand that. It kind of goes with the kid room vibe. We're talking about your main spaces here. Master bedroom, master bath, kitchen, living room, those type of things. Same thing with wallpaper. If it's distracting, best that it comes down, even though I know it's a pain, but it really detracts from people's attention on what they should be paying attention to. Yard work is going to be another item. Of course, you're gonna need to trim bushes, do edging. You're gonna have to cut your grass once a week in the summers here in Florida. It just grows in no time. The weeds just can be a foot tall within a matter of days if we have a rainy season. So I would anticipate cutting your grass every day. One of my other big questions is, do you recommend cleaning the roof? I will admit I'm not a huge fan of pressure washing the roof. what we see during inspections a lot is that the pressure washing is really tough on the roof and will wash away some of the granules, and in some instances will decrease the life of the roof. So they do sell, I think just at Lowe's or Home Depot, they do sell a spray, like a light spray you can spray on the roof and kind of rinse it off. That we see more success with, but just keep in mind, any foot traffic on the roof, any chemical on the roof is just going to decrease the life of the roof. So take it into account. I'm happy to advise you if you need it, whether it's necessary or not. Trim any branches away from the roof as well. A home inspector is going to tell the buyer if there's something touching the roof. You're gonna have to do it anyways, and of course if there's branches or leaves on the roof, pull those off. Clean out your gutters, same thing. We don't want water pooling in any unnecessary places. If it rains during a showing, just want to present as well as we possibly can. And drainage is such a big deal here in Florida that we don't want to have any low-lying areas full of water in your yard. Well, we don't want those in general, but especially during showing. So if you do have any areas that could be of concern when it comes to drainage, it's probably better to address those right away, because the last thing we want is a family walking through the yard and sinking 6 inches down if you have a wet spot. Back to trimming branches away. Anything that's touching the house at all, whether it's the roof or just the outside of the house, it's a really good idea to trim that up. The inspector will say something. Any branches touching the outside of the house can cause your stucco to crack in Florida. Water gets behind stucco, and you know the rest of the story from there. So moving inside, kind of the rule of thumb I follow when we start to declutter is, if you have a question of whether or not it should stay there, the answer is probably go ahead and pack it up. We use home stagers with all of our listings, and we really go by the motto, less is more. And even if a room is vacant, if you need to sell the furniture, we can virtually stage those rooms. It's not a problem. I do like to leave a little bit of furniture, maybe in the dining area, the master bedroom, the living rooms, but if you need to empty out those other bedrooms, I'm personally okay with that. We really just want to showcase those main living areas, and we can do that with some added staging if needed. But less is more. Another good rule of thumb is anything on your wall that's small, we're probably going to ask you to take down. We're going to ask you to remove any items from the tops of your cabinets, magnets on refrigerators, anything that can distract from how great your house looks, anything that would catch the buyer's eye and turn them away from the room itself, we want out of there. And if most of you tell me that you've heard any personal items need to come down. So if you have a full wall of family photos, the whole wall is covered, maybe take it down to just a handful of photos or a small collage. We're not saying you have to take everything, but less is more, minimize, minimize, minimize. So, and again, the more you can do up front, the easier your life is going to be when the house actually goes up for sale. We have a lot of questions about yard sales and estate sales. I'm going to recommend doing that before you list your house, if at all possible. Now, if you just have a few big items left in the home and you need to do the estate sale or the yard sale while it's pending, I understand. Ideal world, you would go ahead and do that before we come in and stage and before the photos are taken. I hope this is helpful. If we can give you any tips on prepping your home to sell, we are more than happy to do so. And have a great day.